Okay, so step one of Dan's strategy, well, not really step one, just his strategy as a whole, he uses Market Trap. So when you log into your Hourglass, hourglass.im, you need to go to your strategies and you need to check and make sure that you're using Market Trap. A few other people that you'll see on the educators and things will be using Hourglass, but Dan strictly uses Market Trap and only Market Trap. So always make sure you're on that strategy. You'll see that it's Market Trap because it's got these two graphs and the B and the S at the bottom. That's how you know it's Market Trap. All right, so just make sure you're on that one. So step one, always check the news first. So you want to come to Forex Factory and check the news. So always make sure with Forex Factory that you can create an account. It's free to create an account, but once you've created an account, it will always stick on your time zone, because if you don't have an account and you just log onto the website, you will have to recheck your time zone every time that you go onto the website. You'll have to make sure that it's on London, but if you log in, it will always stay on your time zone that that you have it on. Babe, why did you do that? Can you not do that?
No, trust me. Thank you. Please.
Sorry, Jake's distracting me right now.
Can't see a screen because all this is over there. Blocking the screen.
Okay, 1 second. Sorry, guys.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So always make sure that you are on the right time zone, because that will change what you see. And then you want to come to the calendar at the top and just make sure you're on the right date. So with the news, you'll see this is all of today's news. So any red or grey folders that you see, you want to avoid trading that currency and any pairs, including that currency, at whatever time it's at. Okay. So like if you were on early this morning at say 7 a.m, you would not want to be trading the GBP because of this red folder. Usually you'd kind of avoid it for sort of the hour, so from 7 till 8, because it started at 7 a.m. A lot of the times if you go onto Hourglass and there's like a big set of news that's hitting, sometimes you will see, like if it hits at 7 a.m on the charts, you'll see some crazy wicks and some crazy candles, so you can see the effect of the news. But yeah, just always avoid red and grey folders. Grey folders are majority of the time, I believe, bank holidays, so yeah, you want to avoid those all day. So like this one, USD, bank holiday all day. So you would just avoid trading the USD. All right. So, and then later on, the only thing that we have to avoid is the CAD at 1:30, and then again, the GBP later this afternoon. So always just make sure you're on the right date and checking your folders and the times that you are trading. Okay. And then the second thing you want to check is your currency strengths. So on Hourglass, when you've got your currency pairs on the side here, you will see these two numbers corresponding to each of the currencies on the side. So one of them should and hopefully be bigger than the other, basically. So the currency with the highest number is the strongest, and then the weaker currency is the one with the lower number. So you can check it here on Market Trap. On every currency pair, you'll see the currency strength on each pair, but you can also use a few other websites. So we have live charts. And this one, you want to make sure you refresh every single time you go on it. Jake, can you drop the links for these websites in the chat just in case people haven't got them?
Can you just unlock the room because we've got a latecomer.
So yeah, with live charts, just always make sure you check. You make sure you're refreshing, okay, because this changes literally every 60 seconds. All right, so this shows in a different way to how Hourglass shows or how Market Trap shows. It shows you with bars. So as you can see, AUD is the strongest right now, as well as CAD. NZD is pretty strong, and then kind of the JPY and the USD are pretty dead, with CHF kind of sitting in the middle. All right, so this is another website. Dan uses it alongside Market Trap, but one other website that you can use for currency strength is Finviz. This one just shows it in a slightly different way. So I've gone through phases where I prefer Finviz or I prefer live charts, but it just shows it in a different way. So some people don't like seeing it in bars like this, they prefer seeing it in a graph. So this basically just shows the very strongest one. So yeah, they can be quite strong and look the same. But if you come over to FinViz, it shows you the strength of the strong ones. And then also if they are quite weak, it will be red underneath. So again, you can see which one's the weakest out of the weaker currencies, you know, but I hope that makes sense to what I'm explaining. But yeah, so it just shows it in a different way, and some people see how they just switch there. So it shows you, and it keeps up with obviously live what the strengths are, but it just shows it to you in a different way. Some people prefer that over live charts. Okay, so that's another way to check the currency strength. One thing just to note is sometimes they don't always match up. So you've just kind of got to make sure you're refreshing, and you've got to ultimately make that decision of which one you're going to check, which one you're going to go by, sorry. So yeah, like these two don't always match up, and that's okay. You know, you'll go by the one that you prefer using. I wouldn't advise using all three to check your currency strengths. I would say pick between one of these two and then use that against your market trap as well. All right, so that's currency strength, and that's one of the the most important things, because that's how you know if you're going to go in for a buy or go in for a sell. So for example, with this first one, AUD CHF, you've got AUD at 73 and CHF at 40. If the first currency is stronger, you'll be going for a buy. If the second currency is stronger, you'll be going for a sell. So AUD CHF will obviously be a buy. The same with all of the AUD pairs right now. Let's see if we can find a different example. So Euro AUD is stronger than the Euro, so you'd be going in for a sell. You'd be looking for sell opportunities rather than buy opportunities. All right, so we'll just go by this one at the top here. So once you have your currency strength sorted and you know if you're looking for a buy or for a sell, what you then want to be looking for is down here at your, what are they called? Are they oscillators, I think the word is? Something like that. The indicators, not oscillators, your indicators here at the bottom. So you've got three indicators. So with these two kind of graph-like looking ones, this is your stochastic and your RSI. So with this one, like I said, we're looking for buy opportunities because the AUD is stronger. So when you're looking for buy opportunities, you want this black line, which is the one that moves with the market. You want the black lines to be on or below the green line. So my kind of rule of thumb is buys, you're wanting to look for everything green, and sells, you're wanting to look for everything red. All right, so again, with this being a buy opportunity because of the currency strengths, you'll be looking for it below, on or below the green for these two different indicators here, okay? And again, if we were looking for a sell, so these right now, they're kind of looking like they would set up for a sell. However, we wouldn't go in for a sell because the currency strengths are clearly showing a buy. So right now, this one just isn't setting up at all. All right. But yeah, so buy, you want these to be at the green. And then also you see here, you've got an arrow and a call score. So this is good because it's a green arrow. Again, green is buy, everything for a buy is green. We usually, well, actually, rule of thumb, just completely ignore the call score. Don't worry about what number it's got because it changes like literally within seconds. So just ignore the call score. It's not the best indicator. The only thing you want to look at is the arrow. So right now we've got a green arrow, which is great. If ever you're looking to get into a trade, you want to be looking at the arrow on the candle that is live. All right, so this one has the green arrow, which is perfect for a buy opportunity. Okay, and then what you also want to be looking for is support and resistance levels. So something really handy about market trap is you'll kind of see we've got these green lines and these red lines. So the flat lines that you see kind of indicating the top part of a bunch of candles and the low part of a bunch of candles. So this is support and resistance, or floors and ceilings. So if you're wanting to go in for a buy, you want it to be at a floor level because you want it to come from the floor and you want it to like basically shoot up. Because you're going in for a buy, you want the price to increase. And again, with a sell, you want it to be at a resistance level, and then you want the price to come down because you're going in for a sell. You want it to be lower than when you got into the trade. Does that make sense? Okay, so support and resistance levels are really important, and market trap is really handy because it literally puts in these lines for you. So you'd kind of be going from these lines. So you can kind of see here at this level, it kind of matches a previous level, which is kind of what you're looking for. But again, we'd be looking for a buy. So we would ideally want price to come down to kind of this green level here, or if it was if the graph was at a slightly different position, you want it to just be at a green level, because then the price will be going up. You want it to hit the level and go up in price for when you get into a trade. Okay, so use these lines that Market Trap has in place, because they're really handy and really helpful for when you're looking for those entry points, because that's where you want the price to come to. And Dan always says, we want the cleanest entries. So you want to get in, if it's for a buy, you want to get in at the lowest point, so then price can basically shoot up from that point. And the same with a sell, you want to get in at the highest point, so price can come up and hit that. At the highest point is when you would get in your trade, and then price would basically drop down after that. So it'd be a clean trade. That's what we're looking for, is really clean trades. You'll hear him say no heart attack trades where the price is just like teetering over your entry point. You want it to be really clean, to come and hit your point and then like shoot off in the direction that you want, whether it be for a buy or a sell. Okay, so that is your support and resistance and your arrows that you have on the graph here. And then the final kind of additional indicators, they're not always like needed, they're kind of extra bonus points, if you want to call them. So we have the Bollinger Bands, which you'll see, you'll have the 3 red and the 3 green. These Bollinger Bands, again, they're just one of those additional indicators to get into the trade. So again, green is everything for a buy. So we would ideally want the price to be down here in the green Bollinger Bands. So like right now, as I said, we're looking for a buy because the AUD is stronger. The RSI and the stochastic are not in the right place, but also the market itself isn't in the green Bollinger Bands, which can be an indicator if you're just kind of going through the currency pairs to see what you might want to be looking at. You can always just glance at what Bollinger Bands they're in. So with a buy opportunity, you would want them to be in the green Bollinger Bands, and for a sell opportunity, you'd want them to be in the red Bollinger Bands, and that's just an extra indicator. And then another extra indicator is this top one down here where you see the B and the S. Okay, so this obviously B and the S stands for buy or sell. I can't make it smaller again. There we go. So a buy or a sell. This usually appears when the candle has already opened. So Dan always only gets in on a new candle. So you'd wait for a new candle to open before you get into a trade, and then a B or an S will usually appear once the candle's open. So it's kind of, again, an extra indicator at the bottom to show, again, this one is showing an S for a sell, which we wouldn't be getting into. We would want it to show a B for a buy when we're in the trade. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions, just drop them in the chat. I guess I'll try and keep an eye on the chat. I can't be. But yeah, any questions, just drop them in there. I hope this is all making sense so far. Okay, so yeah, so again, this one is for a buy opportunity, but it's not lining up at all. None of the indicators are lining up for that at all. So we would just go on to a different currency pair if you were looking to get into a trade now. But also, if we go on to binary cent, so this is what your binary cent will look like for where you get in and out of or into the trades. So you've got all your currency pairs on the side here. Of course, we were looking at AUD-CHF, which is the pair that we had on here. Okay, but I'll just run you through the basics of how Dan sets up his binary cent for his trades. So he will always go for 3 minutes. So always make sure you've got 3 minutes here. Other people do other people's strategies do 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. But for Dan's strategy, if you're trading with Dan, always just go with him, and he does 3 minutes, and he does fixed time off. So this is on when it's dark blue, and this is off here when it's gray. So always make sure your fixed time is off. What that means is, so if I had fixed time on here, you'll see this timer here is just kind of tracking the time itself. Whereas if you have fixed time off, it will only ever count down from 3 minutes, because if I got in a trade right now, I would get 2 minutes and 52 seconds in that trade. But this is always going to count down. I think it counts down to about 1.5 minutes, and then it resets to 3 minutes. So if I got in a trade now, again, I would get less time. If I got into a trade in a minute's time, I'd only get a minute and a half in that trade. Okay, so you don't always get 3 full minutes. You get whatever time it is up here. So you could get 3 full minutes, you could get a minute and a half, and that's the only time that you will have in that trade. But he has fixed time off, because if you have fixed time on, you will always get 3 full minutes in that trade. Okay. And again, other people's strategies call for different settings, basically, for the strategy that they have, but Dan always has fixed time off. Okay. And then again, here is where you put in your amount. So never trade more than 3% of your account. An easy way to check what percentage you want is go onto your hourglass and the little calculator up here. Say you've got £1,000 in your account and you want to check what your 3% is. Your risk is going to be £30. So you'd never risk more than £30. If your account was 1,355, you would never risk more than £40.65. Okay, so that's just the easy way to check it. I use it, it's quite handy. Just have it there on Hourglass, but that's where you'd pop it in, and this is where you can see what your profit is going to be if you clear your trade, and then your call and put buttons. So again, call is just another word for buy. It's green. So again, everything for a buy is green and everything for a sell is red. So put is for a sell. Okay. And then of course, if you want to roll over to buy more time, your rollover button will be down here, because it will show your open trade at the bottom, and your rollover button is here. So that basically buys you more time. It will buy you exactly the same amount of time of your trade, but it will cost you 30% of what you put into the trade. So say I got into a £10 trade, it will cost me 30% of £10 to buy more time. But then of course, if you clear that trade, your profit will increase because your risk has increased as well. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Yeah, let me just check the chat box. What dictates whether you get a chance to roll or not? So you will always get the chance to roll when you're not in profit. If you're in profit, the rollover button won't be there. Okay, because you're in profit. You don't need to buy more time because you're in profit. If you're out of profit, you can buy more time if you think the market is going to move in your direction. So like Dan last night, he got in for a sell, but the price had gone above his entry point, so he could roll over if he thought the market was still going to go in his direction. It was still going to come down, so he could win the trade. So he bought more time because he knew that the market was going to come back in the direction that he wanted. So you can only click it if you're out of profit, but also you get about, I believe it's 3/4 of your trade time to click the button. For the final quarter of your trade time, the button isn't there. There's no opportunity to roll over because you're kind of too far into your trade, if that makes sense. Yeah, I hope that made sense for you with your question. So yeah, that's basically binary send. Always make sure you're on the right currency pair. On the side, I know it's happened to a few people, including myself, where I've been checking the markets and wanting to jump into a trade. I get in a trade and then I realize I'm on the wrong currency pair. So always just make sure you're on the right one. I believe you can like type in this box as well if you wanted, and then you can choose your currency pair there if you don't want to choose on the side. And if you ever refresh, or if it ever kicks you out and you have to re-log in, always make sure you come back to the side to reset your timer, because this will automatically go back to 1 minute. And you don't want to jump in a trade and then not have enough time for the market to move and not get the opportunity to roll over. So always make sure if you refresh or it refreshes itself or whatever, which it sometimes does, always make sure you come reset your time and make sure your fixed time is off as well if you're ever going to jump into a trade. Okay, so any more questions at all? Does that make sense to everyone? I've never explained this strategy before, so I hope it makes sense to everyone. But yeah, in terms of then entries, as I said, it's a little bit hard to kind of explain when we're not looking at a specific trade, so I might just see if anything is potentially setting up so I can just show you. So again, all of these we're looking for buy opportunities because the AUD is stronger than the second currency in the pair. But if you look down here at the indicators, they're all in the red, which is not what we want because we're looking for a buy. So we want those indicators to be in the green. So right now, you would just literally discard these pairs and come back to them at a later point. just to see if they're lining up. Oh my gosh, nothing is there right now. And again, these would be looking for sells because the second currency is stronger in the pair, so we'd be looking for a sell opportunity. This one kind of looks like it's setting up EuroCAD, okay? So again, these are coming up to the red in the stochastic and the RSI, which is what we want. And again, with like a sell opportunity, you kind of want to see it coming up because you want it to come up, hit your point, and then shoot back down because you want the price to come down. So it's lower than your entry point if you're getting in for a sell. So if we had a quick look on here, EuroCAD, so if we were to get in the trade right now, we'd be getting a 72% payout. And you can see here, it's coming up. So you want to get in the trade and you want the price to come back down because we're going in for a sell. So with entry points, what you'll see Dan doing is he probably have drawn a line here on this point. All right. So he's using these support and resistance lines that Hourglass or that Market Trap already has, and he would be looking to get in at the highest point to see the price come down. So you'd see we've got 46 seconds left in this candle. So he would wait for these 40 seconds to go, and then he would get into the trade on a brand new candle. Okay, so we'd kind of sit around. If we then go to binary set, he would then say, okay, so we want it at the highest point. And then we'd want the price to drop. So he probably would have said, okay, so we want it at this point here, 544, but price has now smashed through that. So we would be waiting for price to come back up to this high point of 555 when the new candle hits, which is kind of getting to. So you'd want it to come at the highest point when the new candle opens. You want to make sure that there's a down arrow. You want to make sure these are still in the right place. Check the currency strengths one more time. So it's Euro CAD. We want the CAD to be stronger than the Euro. This is just taking a second to refresh. So yeah, the CAD is stronger than the Euro. And you see that new candle's come into play. It's a red candle. These have now crossed down, which is perfect. So if you were to get in that trade, you would have wanted to get in at one of these high points here, and then you'd be in for 3 minutes, fixed time off, and the price would be dropping. So you would be clearing this trade if you were in it, but of course you would still have a little bit of time left. When your trade is open down here, you'll see where you got in. Your expiry price will show when the trade ends, but your expiry time, which is one to always check to see how long you've got left in the trade here. And then, yeah, if you wanted to roll over, of course, down here. But yeah, so if you got in the trade up at one of these high points here, you would be in profit right now because you'd be in for a sell. Okay. And then, of course, when it will show when your trade is about to end. I think it's one of these lines here, or you'll have a red line that shows here. And then as soon as price hits your line, you'll get your red or green bubble. Of course, it'll be a green in this case because this is set up perfectly. So again, let's just go over that again. We're looking at EuroCAD. The Euro is weaker than the CAD, which is why we're looking for a sell opportunity. Here we had the black lines crossing over the red. So it's crossed up and we want it to cross back down. So it's in the red, which is perfect. We've got a red put arrow and this new candle is red, and it did come to a point of resistance. So at this ceiling point here. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone as to why that trade, why you would have got into that trade, why the trade hit? And again, so if you got in at one of these high points, if you clicked the put button up here, you would have been in profit this whole time and you would have cleared that trade. Okay. Any questions? Because I think we might run out of time in a minute. I'm not sure how long is left. But I hope that made sense to everyone. Of course, Dan's Monday sessions are open to guests, and he runs through this every Monday. He goes through his system, he goes through his strategy. So you can always, I'm always on, everyone is normally on those calls anyway, because he still trades on those sessions, but he always goes through his strategy first. So Monday nights are always good just for a quick refresh of his strategy, or if you've got any guests that want to jump on. And then Tuesday through Thursday, he just kind of jumps straight on the calls and gets trading. He does kind of analyze his trades after we've been in them to see why they hit or why they didn't hit. But yeah, the Mondays are the main nights where he goes through his strategy, kind of like what I just did, but a little bit quicker. So yeah, I hope that helps everyone. If no one's got any questions, then yeah. Did you want to go over anything?
Thanks, Charlotte. Is it just me or everybody's frozen for me?
I can
I just
still
want
see
to make sure that
everyone
that's just
moving.
me. I
Can
just
you
want to
see
make sure
it?
that's
Can you see everything like on my screen, like my mouse and stuff? And
it's
Yeah.
all been a little bit delayed for me. So I
Oh,
just
has
want to make sure
it?
it's just me.
Spot on.
So
The
No, it's
screen
been sweet for
itself
me, I
has been
think.
fine for me. I think it's the people, like the picture cameras is
Okay.
a bit laggy, but I think the screen itself, everyone's been alright.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
hopefully.
Great.
We'll have the recording, so hopefully the recording will be okay.
That
Sorry,
was really
Andy.
helpful. That was really good.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad it was helpful. Because yeah, when you jump on Dan's sessions, I think if you're not sure what's going on, never get into a trade on your full risk, because if you're not really sure why you're getting into a trade, either don't get in it or get in for like 1% or £1 trade for sure. Because if you're not sure what's going on, don't put on your full risk. There's no point if you're not sure what's going on. So again, check your risk and how much you want to be jumping on the trade. But yeah, when you kind of start to understand it and you know why you're putting your full risk on a trade and why you're getting into a trade, that's where you want to be when you're trading with Dan, and you're trading at your full risk. You want to make sure you know what's going on and why you're jumping into trades, why you potentially wouldn't jump into a trade at the last minute as well, because you know the market can do what the market wants to do. It might switch at the last minute and you might not get into a trade when you thought you were. So yeah, always making sure you know why things are going on.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm glad it was helpful.
Thank you.
I've only got like 2 minutes, but I'll just try and quickly show you. You need to make me host. Oh, can you take that and tell them to call me back? No, goodness. You are? Oh, I kind of need you to answer that one. We're not going to have enough time. Guys, are you all right to jump back in the call? Has everyone still got time?
Yeah, man. As long
Yeah.
as you show me that dog.
Cool. All right. Yeah, jump back in and I'll meet you all back.